Hey everyone. So, as you're probably seeing and you're definitely well aware, this whole divide and conquer, not only does it have that breakdown right down to basically every personal identifier that humans could possibly conjure up, right? Men versus women, black versus white, Middle Eastern Muslims versus Western Christians, liberals versus conservatives, red versus blue, authoritarians versus libertarians. I mean, everything now is down to the divide and conquer, the realm of divisive politics. This is the realm, this is the area that the most devious among us function. This is why I find it so important to point out the hypocrisy from all actors, from all those who are contributing on this race to the lowest common denominator or this divide and conquer routine. But I have to say it, and I have to suggest as such that whether it's the globalists versus the nationalists, men versus women, right? Whatever particular tribe that people want to clamor to or show solidarity with, in the end, when all is said and done, when shit hits the fan, people need to understand and reflect upon the very real fact that the nationalists, right, or the family oriented types are the ones that have the most to gain and have the most ambitious aspects in their fight. They're the ones that the flames are stoked on a continual basis. Globalists, the reason why you always fail, and I'm glad that you do until the day comes when all humans are on the same philosophical and intellectual level, at least to a certain degree, where we understand what true individual freedom represents, then we will completely be able to get rid of and negate these borders, right? And truly be somewhat of a global community. But I mean, that's as utopian as you could possibly hope for, right? That's pure fiction on a grand scale. So in this current paradigm, in this current world, under the human mentality of the human psychology, central planners have to recognize and realize that people are going to run to their prospective tribes, to their prospective teams when they see that divide and conquer happening. That's why you're seeing today the rise of the what they call the right or the alt-right. Is these are people that would be more nationalist, more family oriented in their psychology or in their philosophy, or in their premise, the baseline instincts in their minds, and try to beat that out of them or tell them they're bad for thinking in that way. Like I said, when has it ever happened in history, right? When has it ever happened in history? Even the globalists, right? Some of the communists that wanted to spread this kind of philosophy worldwide, they still remained instinctively nationalists. So, like I said, the globalists, especially the central planning types, the ones that want to control the entire globe seamlessly, you're going to fail at this endeavor. How you haven't come to terms to realize that yet, I don't know. Well, it's your ego, right? Your ego is getting the best of you. You're not going to ever be able to present that we're all one big happy family, right? And that you don't need to oppose anyone, especially when you divvy things up into political landscapes or ruling factions and warmongers that battle against each other. That's the thing about the ruling class. They call themselves like the Canadian federal whatever party, right? Or the American, they're all federalized. Or the British, they're federalized. Or Russia, they're federalized. All these countries around the world, that's their immediate instinct go-to identifier. So you've created a scenario where you're divvying everyone up into tribes and teams, and then you think that people are automatically instinctively going against their particular tribe or teams, right? I wish that we weren't so tribal in nature, but sometimes it's a great benefit, right? Family oriented, we should be all about orienting ourselves not just in family, because you probably have some fucking family members that are the worst authoritarians that you'll ever meet, right? That you completely oppose in every aspect of the word, or in every sense of the word. But people are still going to be instinctively about the family because that psychology has been hammered into the human psyche for generations, countless generations. That's how we've thrived and survived and flourished, right? Is associating ourselves with a particular tribe and each other working together to make sure that tribe survived and thrived and sustained itself for future generations. So good luck with trying to beat that out of humans. The more you try, you're only emboldening them to run to their perspective, ideological or tribe-like culture or narratives. That's how global and civil wars happen. So when these globalists are doing what they do, they're even if they have some benevolent underlying pinnings why they do it such, they need to learn right now that yes, humans are not. It's not a experiment in your classroom, right? It's not something that can be done, put forth, and presented in a manner that will be conducive for your particular experiment. You're going to cause another massive rift in populations where that divide and conquer routine is going to lead to massive civil and global conflict. So please, put the fucking bullshit away. Put your goddamn nationalist and globalist textbooks away and start thinking about people as individuals. If you recognize and respect the individual, that allows you to deal with each other on a case-by-case basis. Instead of being globalist or nationalist in nature, you can deal with people based on their own individuality. That's where we should be getting to, but hey, in the absence of that, and I recognize that's way far out on the horizon. So in the absence of that, you better recognize and realize right now that nationalism is going to be something that is going to beat back any sense of globalism or any sense of bringing the entire world or global community under one giant tent. That's never going to happen. Have you ever seen it in your own family? Have you ever seen it in your own community, right? Is there only one church in your community? Is there only one? Think about it. As far as ideology goes, is there only one of everything in your community, or are there multiple competing factions? You know it's always multiple competing factions because humans can be tribal, but they're not global in nature, right? That tribalism it's buried into their psychology way down deep. And until you find some way to completely negate or erase that from their mental conceptions and how they live and function in the real world, recognize and realize now that globalists, you keep stoking those fires of divisiveness. You can keep trying to promote that so that hope that everyone will be going against each other while you bring in this globalism and fly under the radar. It's a short-term benefit that you will see, and you will see it. I see that right now. But once you push it too far, you'll see that's where the nationalism is going to kick in. That's where the tribalism is going to kick in, and it's going to be done instinctively. You can try to tell them and paint them in any kind of negative light, however many ways you try, under any propagandist narrative. Call them sexist, racist, homophobes. Call them as many names you want, but you're not changing their underlying mentality and their underlying psychology. All you're really doing is stoking the flames and stoking the fire of divisiveness. And when you do that, well, at the very least, you should be prepared to suffer the consequence of doing such. It's a Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.